Night in Portland, Nick Sortor was arrested by Portland PD for disorderly conduct. Now, it looks like he has been released, but this is shocking behavior.
Have to figure out what is going on in a major American city, Portland, Oregon, a place, a scene of chaos where the left continues its siege night after night on an ICE facility. But what are local law enforcement doing?
President has directed Secretary Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other left-wing domestic terrorists.
In my conversations directly with President Trump and Secretary Noem, I have been abundantly clear with them that Portland and the state of Oregon believe in the rule of law, and we can manage our own local public safety needs.
So we absolutely need to talk about what has been going on in Portland, Oregon for the last few months. And it's not just Portland, obviously. There are other blue cities that have a lot of problems right now. But as you are hearing from the Democrats that run these cities and states, everything is fine. This isn't a war zone. We don't need help. And I have to wonder on what bar needs to be set, what standard needs to be met for them to see something as chaos, for them to recognize unruly and unlawful behavior, for them to admit that their constituents are in danger and that the people that voted them into office are being ignored, essentially. Like, what is the bar for that? Because I feel like at this point, things could be completely leveled. Their entire city could be decimated by these mobs, and they would still get on camera and tell us that everything is fine. And that is baffling in and of itself. But what is also baffling, because there's so many aspects to this that are just boggling to the sensible mind, which these people clearly do not have, is how they continue to have support. Because obviously every single day, I don't know about your guys' social media feed, but my social media feed is flooded with liberals, particularly liberal women. We got to have a talk, liberal women. Like, you're going to have to explain this to me like I'm vaccinated. But they're constantly like, I don't understand how you can support Trump. I don't understand as a woman how you could support the Republican Party. Do you not want rights? Do you want to regress in women's opportunities? Yeah, no, I actually want the opportunity to feel safe. I want to be able to walk through the city that I live in and not see drugged out homeless people everywhere. And that's not because I don't have compassion for them. I actually want them to get help. I want to be able to drive home from work, as we're going to see in this video. One woman was not able to do while she was trying to get through Portland and just get home. I want to be able to drive home and not worry about being attacked by a mob. And I want to elect representatives that when they see a problem, they're everyday people just trying to go to and from work are unable to do so because the downtown of that city is in total anarchy. I want them to be able to say, we have a problem and we need to solve it. I don't think that bar is too high to meet, but apparently for some people it is. And for some reason, we see this anarchy and chaos going on, and we still have the question, how could you vote Republican? My question is, how can you vote for Democrats? How can you support liberals? How can you support people like Tina Kotek, who is the governor of Oregon, who knows that all of this stuff is going on in Portland, who knows very well that these thugs are attacking ICE facilities, that people cannot even get through the streets that they pay taxes to uphold and to upkeep, that they can't do any of this safely, and they still get on camera and say, we're fine, we don't need help, we can handle our own public safety. Here's the thing. I get that you can handle your own public safety issues. The question is, why are you not handling your own public safety issues? So as you can tell, I have a lot to say about this. Before we get too much further, I'm Outspoken Samantha. Please hit the like button on this video, subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you so much for being here. So I know you guys have probably been paying at least a little bit of attention to what's going on in some of these cities, and Portland is what we're going to focus on today, but it is not an isolated incident. But before we get into what has been happening, Let's hear from Tina Kotek again, talking to Rachel Maddow about how everything is fine. Everything is under control. What you hear from President Trump is completely made up, and him trying to send in help is unnecessary, that fascist dictator.
I want people to know that Portland, Oregon is a beautiful, vibrant, successful city. We are not a war zone. I was out there all weekend long. People were out and about, shopping, going to restaurants, going to soccer matches, going to shows. Portland is a beautiful place, and we are not under siege. There's no insurrection here. When the president makes a choice to say, I should have military troops in my state.
Right. So I played a bunch of clips in the beginning, and you guys were able to see the chaos with your own eyes. So you tell me if that's your definition of safety, because in my books, not safe. This is a video that was posted a couple of days ago, and this is a woman in her car trying to drive home, and she's surrounded by this mob, which would be absolutely terrifying, mind you, and she can't get through. So this is how that played out.
Streets, for everybody's safety. We're not letting her through.
You can't go this way.
Oh, they're not letting her through. That's slow privilege right there, baby. Let's go. This lady right here saying it's illegal for her to be coming through here. The police are stepping in. Oh my goodness! You won't be able to get.
She hit a pedestrian. If you do not arrest this woman, you are complicit with this fucking administration. She's scaring me. She hit a pedestrian. Are you going to arrest her, or are you going to continue? We can't hear anything with this bullshit administration.
This is wild right now. You have the police going. You have these guys mad at me for filming this. This lady's crying.
Oh, you're so scared. You're so fucking scared. You're doing this shit.
Somebody stamped the car with Trump Gestapo. Not welcome.
So according to these geniuses, if they let this woman go home, then the police are complicit with the Trump administration. By the way, I didn't see that she hit anybody. There was nobody that seemed to be injured right there. I would think that the police would immediately address that situation if that were actually true. But maybe don't jump in front of moving vehicles if you don't want to get hit by a car. If somebody jumps in front of my car, I'm obviously going to do my best to stop. But if you intentionally do that, there's no guarantee that I'm going to be able to stop in time. You run the risk of getting hurt. These are what's called the consequences of your own choices. Don't step in front of moving vehicles. Anyway, we have another example of this violence against women. This is an independent journalist. Her name is Katie Daviscourt. I can't remember the outlet that she reports for. I think the Post Millennial. And she was out there just documenting what was going on, which is something that Portland officials seem to have a real problem with. They want to be able to tell you that things are fine, but they don't want you to go in there and take pictures, which you would think if they were telling the truth that they would have no problem with that, because they'd be like, what? Everything is fine. And we have people that can show you that everything is fine. So it tells me that they're lying, and they know they're lying, which is another reason I would never support these people. But this is Katie Daviscourt. She's in there reporting on it. She gets hit in the face. And to my knowledge, the police didn't really do a whole lot about it, but I could be wrong. Let's listen.
Shine, are you all right?
Oh, yeah, I definitely have a black eye. So that's what it's been like covering Portland for the past 4 months. Complete lawlessness.
Wow. They say it's just one city block. Is that even true?
That's not true. So it went from being a war zone to one city block, but it's actually several blocks where that is completely controlled by Antifa affiliated protesters who harass, assault, and threaten anyone who they perceive to be a threat to their cause, including journalists, local residents, and ICE agents. And the Trump administration is absolutely correct in deploying federal troops here because Portland police has completely abandoned this zone. They refuse to go in, and everyone that shows up is on their own.
Portland police say they're investigating. I guess you had spoken to a dialogue officer. I don't even know what that means, but he did nothing. So I don't even know what he's there for. Does it kind of feel like Portland officials, I can't believe I'm even saying this, but have formed some sort of alliance with Antifa?
Oh, absolutely. I would consider them Antifa at this point. Why not? So their whole agenda is to get ICE out of Portland. So they're trying to shield the public from what's going on down on the ground. But I have 4 months worth of video footage showing warlike scenes happening here. None of that footage is from 2020. But then you have Portland Police Chief Bob Day saying, oh, the videos that you guys are seeing are from 5 years ago. They're absolutely not. We have the evidence to back it up. And how dare he do that?
So that happened. But of course, it doesn't end there. Now, when Tina Kotek says that they are able to take care of their own public safety issues, it's not that the police are not out there. It's that they're not going after the people that are committing crimes. And as she said, she is of the belief that perhaps the police are aligned with Antifa, that they're actually more aligned with them than protecting law-abiding citizens. And throughout this entire video, I'm just going to keep asking the question, how on earth do you expect people to support the Democrat Party when you're showing us what we will get if they have widespread control of this country? Unfortunately, these things are happening in some of our big, beautiful cities out there, but this is what we can expect to happen across the country if we ever put a Democrat in the White House again. This was another incident that just demonstrates what the current Democrat Party stands for, and this is where they were burning the American flag, but it was an independent journalist named Nick Sortor that got arrested. Not the people committing the crime, not the people setting fire in public. Nick Sortor. Let's have a look.
We got a Trump supporter. We got a Trump supporter right here.
Oh, he's putting it on the ground and he's making it worse. And now he's standing on it.
Motherfucker.
Now he's standing on it. You're not supposed to stand on it. Oh, now.
Whoa. What's your name?
So, yeah, the police are capable of arresting people. They're just going to stop you if you try to stop the crime. Make it make sense. Well, this is Nick Sortor explaining what happened.
So they threw multiple punches at me. They broke my camera by hitting that. So I was on the ground at that point. I tried to swing, I missed. I saw the opportunity to get up and get away. And that's when I went over to the police officers, which I thought, maybe they'd help me. But no, instead they threw me in handcuffs. This is going to backfire on them tremendously. It already is, okay? People knew that something out here stunk and that it was corrupt and that the police they take the side of the violent criminals that are here every single day, assaulting ICE officers, assaulting journalists. And then a reporter comes and, tries to embed deep within the chaos that's going in out here, and he's the one that gets arrested.
You get the idea. I know that was kind of a long list of clips. I feel like visual aid works better than me just describing what is happening, but you actually need to see what has happened to this city. I've never been to Portland, Oregon. I have always wanted to visit because I've heard that it's a beautiful city. Well, I should say I wanted to visit before probably 2020. And then I'm like, so now that we've got this going on and government officials saying that it's not happening and police protecting the criminals, you do have to wonder, are these officials speaking for their constituents? Are they actually listening to law-abiding citizens? And I think we all know the answer to that. So this is one guy that answered the question, are you excited about the help that Trump is sending in? Are you okay with the National Guard coming in? And if the officials are listening to the people that voted for them, you would expect that their answers would, for the most part, line up. But 9 times out of 10, especially when a Democrat is in charge, that's not the case.
Happy that Trump is sending the National Guard in here. I live in this building. We both live in this building. We've been asking for help for months, and we're finally going to get it.
Let's be real. Let's be very clear. This is intentional. This is intentionally happening and being fueled by the Democrat Party. They want this chaos. They want to take down everything that has fostered success in America. They want our cities to be completely engrossed and overtaken by violence and criminal activity so that we will beg them to take care of us and to help us. And that is why they have specifically targeted the youth in our country while their brains and their ideals are still developing, while they're trying to figure out what it is that they stand for. They've pushed God out of society. They've pushed Christianity and religion and things that inspire people to reach their fullest potential. They've intentionally pushed that aside, but they're well aware that especially young adults are looking for meaning. They're looking for purpose. They're looking for something to stand for and to fight for. And they've replaced the God of Christianity with the God of government, with the God and the religion of political activism. And this is Jesse Waters interviewing a former Antifa member, describing exactly that, where these people are just looking for purpose and meaning. And they're either, I mean, I don't think he says this, but they're either going to find it in something good and right and true. They're going to find that in God and Christianity, or they will find that meaning and that purpose with the state, with what these Democrat officials, with the ideology that they present to them, that this is their morality. Because of course we heard that over and over again when Trump was elected. It's not just about politics, it's about morals. Well, this is their moral compass. My moral compass is in my church and in my scriptures and in that doctrine. Their moral compass is embedded in this. If you fight for the things that we tell you to fight for, that is your purpose, that is your meaning, and that is what makes you a good person.
You know, you're young and you're idealistic and you feel like you don't have a lot of control in your life. And, you know, so if you can go out there and you know, make yourself a hassle, then that's better than being an, you know, anonymous, you know, kid.
That's true. So, I mean, what kind of violence were you guys getting into? Like explosives or vandalism?
Oh,
what?
Yeah. So it would have been about 9th grade or so. Get on a few years. Growing up in Seattle, we had those the riots in '99, and yeah, I was ready to go, man. I had little Molotov cocktails in my bedroom and a copy of the Anarchist cookbook that I had photoshopped or photocopied at the time from a friend of mine's older brother. You know, like, you know, it was just at the time, you know, and like, oh, this is just a good time. And it's only later on that you get more involved with the ideas, the philosophies, the you know, direct action ideologies that go deeper into, you know, later on becoming like a full-blown anarcho-communist and syndicalist. So
what does that mean? What was the ideology? Full-blown communism?
I mean, a lot of it is, you know, these are accelerationism. It's not the slow march to the institutions. It is, you know, we want this and we want it now. And one of the reasons that I got out of it is probably around 2014, 15, we started seeing groups come up to Seattle and Portland from California. And they were much more like, hey, you know, you better get in line with this. You know, and if you're not, there's consequences and there's pressure.
So you were being forced to take violent action or else you might have been hurt?
Oh, not only that, but there was pressure, there was ostracization, things of that nature where, you know, you might get into it, say, like, because you don't like bigotry in the music scene. And then later on, it's, you know, you're going to adhere to these tenets and you're going to say and think these ways. And if you're on the fence at all, you know, silence is violence and you know, your comrades are going to become a problem for you.
So generally, they're pulled into these groups and these ideas under something very, what seems to be mild. If you don't like something that you hear in the music industry or a song that somebody writes, or, you know, just something that you think might hurt somebody else's feelings. And obviously nobody wants to hurt somebody else's feelings. So your purpose now becomes to fight against that, to change that thing, and then people are going to feel better. And that seems relatively harmless and something that's going to give you a sense of accomplishment. But then once you're in, like, you're in. You're not allowed to question anything. You're not allowed to fight back. You're not allowed to have your own voice. For the people that claim that they're fighting for diversity, fighting for inclusivity, yeah, you're not allowed to have your own opinion. And if you try to have your own opinion, if you try to speak out, you try to oppose anything that you are told, there will be consequences. And these people are dangerous. And since this is their moral compass, and obviously they believe that violence and retaliation is part of that moral compass and it is justified, then they will commit those things against you, whatever that may be. I'm not insinuating anything. I don't know exactly what they mean by consequences against their own people. I have no idea. But they're not going to let it slide. So essentially, they completely own you. So again, I ask, how is this supposed to make me want to vote Democrat? Because that, as I said, is something that is all over my social media feed constantly. How is this activity and the clear abandonment of morals by the people that you vote for, that allow mobs to run the streets and get the police officers to protect the criminals, how is that supposed to make me want to switch parties? Not that I ever would, because I feel like abortion and the transgender issue and all of these things that actively destroy children, families, babies, that would be reason enough alone for me to never vote for the left. But let's just say that those issues were not on the table. How is this something that is supposed to make me change my mind? Because as we know, this is not just about politics. That's something that I can agree with the left on. It is about morals. It is about ideology. And I am going to stay as far away from an ideology that openly condones and encourages violence against people that they disagree with, that don't want to have a conversation, that don't find any value in conversation. And conversation, as we know, is the thing that is going to unify people. You're not going to unify people under violent attacks, under making their communities unsafe. When you're out there screaming in the streets outside of my window where I have to call my neighbor and I can't actually just go and run an errand without the personal protection of somebody else. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this in the comments below. Let me know if you've heard from people that live in Portland, if you know people that live there, what their thoughts on the situation are, or share this video with them and let them comment, because I want to hear from them. Anyway, I would love to hear all of your thoughts on this in the comments below. Please hit the like button on this video and subscribe to my channel. As you guys know, we always end with Charlie Kirk. That is the least I can do to keep his message out there and to keep his memory alive and to make sure that everybody knows who this man is and that we never forget him. Keep it real, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Liberal came to speak at University of Kentucky, they'd give an open mic like I just did to a conservative and had a discussion like this.
I certainly hope they would.
No, they wouldn't. Because speech is not a left-wing value. That's why Chuck Schumer went on the Senate floor yesterday and called for the censorship of a cable television program. That is why they have to deploy shock troops called Antifa to go after everywhere I go. When I go to University of California, Davis next week, there has to be 120 police officers because of the threats, the violent threats of liberals that want to disrupt our events. There are no right-wing hecklers that come to events like this. Michael Knowles, Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, myself, Candace Owens need 24/7, 365 armed security to prevent ourselves from the violent threats from the left. And so I think it's rather clear there's one side that is trying to do everything they can to shut one side up and one side that's trying to open up the marketplace of ideas. And I think that's rather self-evident.